Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Today I want to talk about an extremely fascinating case, and it ties into a documentary that was recently put on Netflix. You're going to want to watch this because it'll be imperative that you do once I finish talking about it, and then you can get the entire picture. So I guess to start out, and if you've never heard of this case or this guy, his name is Stan Romanek, and by all accounts, he's just your average, normal American guy living out in Colorado, and claims to have been abducted by aliens multiple times, starting in the year 2000, but not only that, he has apparently encountered a host of anomalous activity ranging from UFO sightings to visits from the Men in Black, alien implants, strange phone calls, shadow people in his house, alien hybrid children following him and showing up at his door. I mean, it's just the story is so crazy that it's almost unbelievable. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this, and kind of what brought this up to begin with is that I was scrolling through Netflix the other night, and I stumbled across a documentary film called Extraordinary: The Stan Romanek Story. And I guess this came out in 2013, but I had never seen it or heard about it. Now, of course, I've heard about Stan, but I'd never seen the documentary. So I watched it, and sure enough, it is a really well-made and interesting documentary, which basically breaks down all of these strange occurrences that have allegedly happened to this man over about a 10-year period. And it goes through all of the footage he captured, all of the photographs, the phone calls he recorded, and lays out all of the evidence out on the table. Now, as I said in the title, the Stan Romanek case is probably the biggest and longest and most drawn-out alien abduction case ever. And there's usually two classes of people who look at this story. Either you see all of this evidence, and there's a whole lot of it, believe me. As you watch this documentary, there is literally so much strange stuff that has happened to this guy, that he's recorded, that he's captured. I mean, like I said, it's not just UFOs, it's not just abductions, and we'll go into that in a minute. But by the end of it, and after you learn everything, there's two classes of people. There's one side that fully believes Stan's story and his evidence, and that he is a multiple abductee that has been attacked by the government for publicizing what happened to him. And then there's another group of people who will tell you that Stan Romanek is the biggest and most prolific hoaxer known to all of ufology. And that's really all you can come to after you watch this film and you learn about him. Either it's true, or this is the most elaborate, well-documented, well-planned UFO and alien hoax that I have ever bared witness to. Alright, and we're talking about a guy who would have had to have done this over a 10-year span, most of which happened before YouTube even existed. So there really wasn't an audience to see this hoax, if it indeed was. And so apart from being an alleged abductee, he's also an author. He's put out a book. He's an overall UFO enthusiast, obviously. Claims that he had his first UFO encounter in the year 2000 and has had many experiences since, including discovering mysterious wounds on his body that actually glowed under a black light. He's had communication with aliens over a ghost box, aliens following over his car or visiting his home, and telepathic communication with aliens. In one account from 2003, he said that he woke up and found himself wearing flannel ladies' wear, and he suspected that he had been abducted and returned in different clothing. But that's not even the strangest story, and believe me, he's got many, as you will see in this documentary, and there's just so much stuff that has happened to this guy. I'm showing you some pictures here. Like, there's one part in the film where it shows UFOs. You're seeing a photo, a clip from the film here, where he's got a ton of video footage and photographs of UFOs that followed him over the years. Then he's got video and photographs of his yard, where the grass has been destroyed, as if something had landed or hovered above it and destroyed that particular area of the yard. He has captured what he calls, shadow entities or shadow people in his home, as you're seeing in this photograph here. That, along with these mysterious light orbs that, again, he has caught on video moving through his house and flying around the outside of his house. He is also probably most notable and famous for the Peeping Tom alien, as it's called, where at one point he has set up a surveillance camera watching his windows after, he originally thought that there was some human, like Peeping Tom, looking through his windows. And so he set up this camera, and sure enough, eventually we see this small alien gray head pop up in the window. He's also found strange photographs on his cameras, like the ones you're seeing here, as if one of these aliens actually got a hold of the camera and started taking selfies. In the documentary, you'll learn, and he's got countless recordings of these strange, almost like computer voice phone calls that he's getting. That, along with phone calls from what sounds like a child, and in one case where he was actually visited during one of his talks at a UFO convention of an alleged alien hybrid female, which you're seeing in this photograph here, that was taken by someone there who actually caught this girl, and you can see these sort of alien features, especially in her eyes. And it just goes on and on. He was allegedly beaten up by what he described as military men in plain clothes, who told him to keep his mouth shut, broke his nose. There was even a police report filed. And, I'll just leave it up to you guys to watch the documentary. There is so much stuff. So again, it's like by the end of it, you're like, is it real? Is it fake? I mean, if it is fake, it has to be the most elaborate hoax ever. Then the other part of you is saying, well, there's just too much evidence here to say that it's fake. It has to be real. Or maybe it's 50-50. Maybe half of it's fake and half of it's real. Well, that's proof positive right there. I mean, you don't need much more than that. But it really is fascinating. One of the craziest documentaries I've ever seen. And it would seem that trouble has just followed this guy around. And here's the part where I'm going to talk about some things that are kind of disturbing. And again, you'll have to do your own research and make up your mind. But I think it's also prudent to discuss the fact that in the last couple of years, Mr. Romanek was arrested for having, try to keep it YouTube friendly here. I don't want my ad revenue taken away. We'll just say there were some photographs and videos of children found on his computer. This after a long investigation by the Loveland, Colorado Police Department, along with Homeland Security, who, had been investigating Mr. Romanek for the online sharing and possession of this child material. And so after you see that, you're like really thrown off. All right, you don't know what to believe, because in the documentary and as you watch this guy talk, he seems like your typical all-American guy. He's very calm, very soft-spoken, very, smart, easygoing. Doesn't seem like he's lying or telling tales. He just seems like a genuinely normal, nice guy. I was completely shocked after watching the documentary and then finding out that he had been arrested for such a heinous crime. And so he was released on bond. And Mr. Romanek's wife, Lisa, released a statement which read, and I quote, "Last Wednesday, a warrant was issued and Stan cooperated by turning himself in. Anyone who follows Stan is already aware of the harassment, break-ins, hacking, and remote access of our computers that we have experienced." She goes on to say, "It is our belief that whoever has been accessing our system also left behind traces to verify the Office of Homeland Security tip that the police department received." She finishes off by saying, quote, "We will be taking ufology into the courtroom. We know that this has everything to do with our being outspoken about the ET and UFO reality." So, according to them, basically, they are pleading innocence, especially Stanley, and that, well, the idea here that I get from this is that he was set up, or at least that is his allegation. He was set up by the government, who wants him to keep his mouth shut about what he's done, and that the government is trying to ruin him because of this documentary and because of what he has released. So it's a lot to take in, and without you guys watching the documentary, if you haven't seen it, you won't get the full scope. So I wanted to let you guys know about it because it just now became available on Netflix. And if you have time, I promise it'll be one of the most interesting documentaries that'll kind of leave you scratching your head at the end, trying to figure out whether this is the real deal or if this is the most elaborate hoax in history. So go watch it. You can come back here and leave your comments and tell me what you think. Alright, so check it out. It's called Extraordinary, the Stan Romanek Story. Life is definitely stranger than fiction, let me tell you. But it's a journey we're definitely happy to be a part of, and one hell of a wild ride. So thank you guys for stopping by today. Be sure to like and share on your way out, and I will see you back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.